Hello, everyone. I am Kushal. I am a volunteer here at Diversity Dialogues. For people who don't know about Diversity Dialogues is a collective of DNI professionals who work exclusively in the space of inclusion around topics like gender, disability, LGBTIQA, and generational diversity. Our endeavor here at Diversity Dialogues has always been to make sure that resources around DNI are easily accessible and affordable for everyone who wants to use them. In the past 3.5 years of our existence, we have worked extensively in the space of LGBTIQ inclusion at workplaces, gender information for employees, for transgender employees, for mental health, and various other spaces. If you're interested in reading about this or the videos that we have created, you can check them out on our YouTube channel. Make sure that you drop a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel while you're there. It only encourages us to do good work. Today, we are live here on this Facebook channel to promote our recent launch, which is around domestic violence and Indian workplaces. This live is a part of a video series that we have been doing for the past 2-3 weeks. This is the third video as a part of that series. The first two videos were primarily about launching a paper on the domestic violence and Indian workplaces. The second video was primarily around what is domestic violence and what are different types of domestic abuses that are out there. So if you're interested about knowing more about domestic violence and different types of abuses that are there, you can check out our video. The link for that will be available in the comment section. Uh, uh, while I was approached by Madhu, who's the founder here at co-founder here at Diversity Dialogues, about domestic violence in Indian workplaces, I was a little skeptical because I really didn't know how we will tie up domestic violence, which is something very private and related to a household, to workplaces. After completing this entire exercise and now releasing a paper, I feel very confident and rest assured that all my apprehensions and doubts have been put at rest. If you've still not downloaded a free copy of our research paper, you can do that by by going to our website, which goes by the name of tiny.cc/dvguide. I will repeat the name of the website again, tiny.cc/dvguide. So make sure that you download a copy of our research paper and use it in your workplaces to push conversations around domestic violence. Today, we are live here to talk about what is the business case behind domestic violence and why should corporates talk about it. In my experience of working as a DNI professional for the last 5 years, every time that I've felt passionate about a particular topic in DNI and I've approached my leadership, I've always been asked a question about what is the business case behind this topic. And that's the right question to ask, right? Your leadership, your management will ask you questions like, why are we talking about it? Why are we doing this? And it's a fair ask, right? So the intent of this video is to give you a small snippet of what we have covered in our research paper and how you can build a business case around domestic violence if it's something that you want to push in your workplace. That's the agenda. Now, while we were doing a research on this topic, we found very little material, especially related to the Indian context. Whatever research that we did, we found only anecdotal evidence in the Indian context. The last part of this research was done internationally, and we could find some great articles around it only internationally. If you're someone who is very analytical and wants to know more numbers that you can put in your presentation when it comes to building a business case, you can find all those numbers in our research paper. Make sure you download it and you can find those numbers. Here, we will talk about different lenses that we can use today when it comes to designing a business case. The first lens that we can look at when it comes to designing a business case for domestic violence at workplace and talking about that at workplace can be derailment of career progression. For victims who go through domestic violence and abuse, career progression is something which they get really impacted with. There are studies which show that for domestic violence and abuse victims, find a derailment in their career progression because of what they're going in their life, and this can impact them heavily in terms of their earning potential. So for employers who take a lot of pride in making sure that they provide a safe environment to their employees and are taking care of their career, this might be a very valid case in terms of derailment of career progression of domestic violence and abuse victims. The second lens that we should look at is employee well-being, safety, and productivity. In the COVID time that we are living in, every employer is supposed to is expected to provide an emotional safe space to all its employees. And especially for domestic violence victims, this becomes more important because they need that safe space when they are alone at home and not at work. a recent study by UN also points out that about 42% of women are supposed to go through physical or sexual intimate partner violence in their lifetime, and that's supposed to impact their productivity and also impact their performance at work. So there's clearly a case of productivity and performance when it comes to building a business case for talking about domestic violence at workplace. The third lens that one can use is the correlation between workplace aggression and domestic violence. When we did our study, we found a lot of anecdotal evidence around perpetrators saying that I was stressed at work and it just came out on my partner, or them saying that I had a bad day at work and it just came out on my partner, and I am sorry about it. This just shows the how workplace stress is transcending boundaries and entering into a personal life, and vice versa. Uh, uh, a lot of these perpetrators would also internalize their actions by saying that I have a short fuse. Now, this points to a temporary or a long-standing psychological disturbance that they might be going through, which may be a threat to their safety and also to the safety of the colleagues that they are working at workplace. So it's important for organizations to understand the correlation between a workplace aggression and also how it is related to domestic violence. The other lens that corporates and workplaces should use is sometimes the only avenue left for a domestic violence and abuse victim will be the workplace only. Some of these victims may not have a strong support system and network to fall back upon. At this point, it becomes important that the workplace provides them the right material and right support. Some of them may not even be aware of their legal rights. So it's important that workplaces are ready to come into picture at this moment and provide them with right support and right literature if needed. The intent is not to force a solution on them, but it's to give them the right information that they can further use to arrive at a conclusion for themselves. Finally, the lens that we can use, and which is a very critical one, is around absenteeism and presenteeism. A lot of these domestic violence and abuse victims may not show up at work, may take a lot of leaves because they might be facing some medical interventions because of the abuse that they're going through. It can be because of the they're worried about their child's safety, and that's why they want to stay back home. It can be because they're relocating and moving out of their house and finding a new place for themselves, or it can be as simple as that the abuser or the perpetrator doesn't want them to go to work. So there's a strong case of absenteeism when it comes to domestic violence and why we should talk about it at workplace. Around 25 to 50% of victims who are working professionals, when interviewed, said that they had taken a leave because of what they were going through in their personal life. And that's a clear-cut case of absenteeism. Around 5% of the same set also said that it happened more than once. So clearly, there's an absenteeism case that one should look at, and the loss of productivity that happens. In case of presenteeism, you may have domestic violence and abuse victims come to work, but they may not be their productive best. A lot of times, the harasser may call them continuously, send them emails on their work email ID, with an intention of making them feel that they're always being looked at. Now, this is something that really impacts their productivity. This impacts their mental health while they are at workplace. So they may be at work for 9 hours, 10 hours, and sometimes they may extend their staying at workplace just to not go back home, but they will not be at their productive best. So these are some of the lenses that that many HR professionals who are watching this video, or D&I professionals who are watching this video, can use when it comes to building a strong case around domestic violence and why corporates should talk about it. If you like our video, if you are more interested about it, make sure I'll again give you the link of the website. You can download a free copy from our website called tiny.cc/dvguide. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel and also follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. I'm sure this gives you enough material to talk about when it comes to building a business case around domestic violence and abuse, and why corporates should talk about it. Look forward to more such videos around these topics. We will try to create more such content and reach out to you in the coming weeks. Thank you so much. Bye.